Good afternoon, good evening, good morning. Thank you for joining us today. This is an Ask the Expert session from Microsoft Teams and Dynamics 365, the unified collaboration platform for modern business. I'll be going over some quick housekeeping announcements and then we will get started. Please use the chat to ask your questions. You can post an anonymous question or use your name. You can vote for your favorite questions using the thumbs up button, and our experts will respond to you via chat or verbally. And we will also be posting additional resources and some links so that you can continue to learn with us. We will be recording the session so you can reference it later. We kindly ask that you not record the session on your side. We also ask that you help our moderators and not spam the chat. Last, we ask that you adhere to the Microsoft Code of Conduct, which has been posted in the chat, and you can review it here. And with that, let's meet our experts. Luca, Jigisha, Ananta, Francois, I turn it over to you.
Hey everyone, nice to meet you. I'm Ananta Ramachandran. I drive the global product marketing activities for Dynamics 365 Marketing, which is introducing a lot more integration with Microsoft Teams. Again, nice to meet you all.
Hi everyone, my name is Francois Van Splender. I am the Dynamics 365 Commerce Marketing Lead. Yeah, look forward to any questions you may have around the integration with Commerce and Teams.
And thank you for joining. I'm Jigisha Deb. I lead the Dynamics 365 sales workload. And as you can see, a lot of interesting news information shared earlier today around Teams and sales. So here to answer to any questions we can.
Oh, so hi everyone, one more time. And I'm Luca Macchetti, and I'm part of the technical Dynamics 365 product marketing team.
There was a question over here saying, are you using the new team webinar option for this event? Ananta, do you want to take that?
Now that you're on mute, but maybe move on to the next question, Jigisha.
I apologize, sorry. Just wanted to say that this is organized through the Microsoft Teams live event. I'm not sure whether they are using all the recently released webinar capabilities, but this is organized through the Microsoft Teams live event.
Absolutely. There was a question over here which says, is this also integrated with Forms Pro? I want to just take that a little bit differently and say, Forms Pro, just as a reference, has been called Customer Voice. Super exciting innovations that have happened in the last 1 year since the name change. It's not just no longer about a forms or application, it's more about also in understanding the customer, and what that means is getting the feedback, etc. Now I'm guessing the question over here is integrated with Forms Pro, as in like with the Teams integration with Forms Pro, or would somebody be able to elaborate on that? Until then, maybe Luca or someone wants to take the next one.
Yep, so the can you discuss how permissions on a Dynamics 365 entity correspond to permissions to what other users can see inside Teams once their entity is connected? So how do we ensure people only see what they have access to on both ends? So the so great question. So in a nutshell, we think that Dynamics 365 web experience So clearly the visibility of the specific record, and in that case, for example, of an opportunity, of account, of a contact, that information related is regulated by the specific role that the user has in Dynamics 365. When it comes to teams, so how the corresponding role is inherited in teams, in a sense that you can, within teams, you can showcase a specific record, let's say an opportunity or a contact, and the information that you see about that specific record is exactly the same information that you were supposed to see within Dynamics 365. And so what might change is the way you can interact with that specific record in terms of editability and life cycle of that record. Just to give it a quick example, so let's say that you're in Dynamics 365, you have a specific role through which you're able to edit and change some specific information for that record and interact with the life cycle of a specific record. That specific privilege is just for Dynamics 365, is just for the Dynamics 365 users. So what I'm saying is that you might not be able within teams to make the same level of, to have the same level of editability privilege for that specific record. And let me definitely give you a couple of links with more detailed information on our docs.microsoft.com website for that specific question.
So Nanta, there's quite a few questions around marketing in here as well. There is one question around commerce, so I can talk about just, there's a question around what integration is available for commerce and marketing. For commerce at the moment, we are API led. Again, the commerce engine is API driven. So again, fundamentally, we can connect by APIs. We are working, of course, closely with our marketing counterparts. Again, how do we surface the right information to cross apps? At the moment, I don't think that there's a lot of announcements we're doing with native integration within marketing, but definitely something we're working on, looking at improving for customer experience-wise.
There's a question on about the Teams functionality integration with Dynamics 365 marketing, right? They're curious whether the customer journeys for events will be built as an event customer journey can now be run right from Teams. So customers can use Microsoft Teams to set up and run webinars. If they want to engage with attendees using customer journeys, then they need to leverage the new integration with Dynamics 365 marketing to export the attendee data into Dynamics 365 marketing, and then use the templates or design their own customer journeys to engage their attendees so that they could nurture them into loyal customers. So the Teams integration with Dynamics 365 marketing essentially helps businesses engage with attendees using customer journeys and relevant content that is created within Dynamics 365 marketing.
So look, I'm not sure if you know, the question is, will Teams functionality be available for team member level licenses?
Yeah, let me check on this one. But yeah, I'm not sure at the moment. I was trying to look at the question related to what is the best way. So Joe seeing question related to what is the best way to send data from an external API into Dynamics. So there are a lot of different scenarios here. It's really, and Power Platform integration is definitely one of them. And you can consume external web services. This is definitely another path. And well, it really depends on the business scenario, but you might also want to use batch data API So this kind of recurring integration where you basically use data management package REST API, or you might want to use in the dual write overview or the open data protocol. So and you know, it really depends on the how much on the business scenario, especially if you want this process to be synchronous, to be asynchronous, if you want that process to be real time, near real time, totally batch. And for example, one of the most common used integration is the Excel integration through spreadsheet. So the Office integration. But again, let me send you the link around what are the, for which specific business scenario is better to use a specific integration pattern.
So I think probably there's another question here. I think it's more specific ERP related. So many organizations are invested in SAP and Microsoft as technology solution providers. The challenge is building awareness and buy-in to the Dynamics stack of solutions when SAP tends to be a default ERP. We know it provides immense value, unified collaboration. Can you talk to us into Dynamics in parallel with SAP? I think it's a really good question, mainly because we have a lot of businesses out there that are coming from incumbent solutions, and SAP has been a player in this market for a very long time. The big thing to consider is, Dynamics, we're data first. The biggest, we're API led, we're on a common data model. We really want to be able to surface relevant insights and relevant content to customers when and where they need be. Now, whether that is both from a CRM or traditional ERP construct. From an integration perspective, again, because we're data first, we can lead with data integration within those entities. So for instance, for Dynamics 365 Commerce, even the Commerce engine can work seamlessly within our ERP F&O base. We can, of course, working with SAP, Oracle, a number of different ERP vendors out there because of the data integrators. And like I said before, the way that we built this technology, because we're data first, is we've built a headless commerce infrastructure, for instance, for Dynamics 365 Commerce, that allows us to really surface the information when and where it needs to be across all the different channels from a commerce perspective. Similarly, we can bring together the experiences if we have the APIs or we have the data connectors we want to work to from SAP into Dynamics 365 as well. So it is, of course, we are simplifying the adoption within our platform, and we are natively going and building those connectors and solutions and better together capabilities for our customers. But over and above that, we absolutely want to be relevant for customers wherever they are in their digital transformation journeys to adopt and work from.
I think there was a question over here about, let me repeat that question now. Is the new Teams chat in Dynamics 365 going to be available in Dynamics 365 marketing as well as sales and service? Ananta, maybe you can take it later, but let me start with it. The new Teams chat for sure is going to be available in Dynamics 365 sales, and then also be available in field service and customer service coming in. Ananta, do you have any comments about that in marketing?
Well, the primary integration between Dynamics 365 Marketing and Teams is related to webinars.
Right.
So either you could use Marketing app to set up an event and use Teams as a streaming provider, or you could set up a webinar or a meeting using Teams. And then once you have the attendees, you can export that into Dynamics 365 Marketing and nurture them with journeys and templates. So that's the main integration benefit. Back to you.
Yeah, no, that's good, because you probably have seen the demo earlier today about the whole Teams chat from right within Dynamics environments. Those are definitely live and going live in sales as we speak, and then coming into service and field service as well.
Yeah.
Super exciting, by the way. I also got another question over here. There were quite a few coming in now, so I respond. Oh, when does the phone call tracking mechanism go live? I'm assuming by this question that you mean the whole call intelligence. So we today already have call intelligence, but the whole phone call through the dialer right from within Dynamics with the cool things that Ray Smith showed earlier today, those should be going live starting in May, and we will keep you up to speed on the exact dates. Okay. Anybody else has questions that they want to pick?
And Nantha, maybe a question to you around the announcements with access in E3 and E5 licenses. The question is just generally the thinking around it. You know, what is that going to be? Can we share any more details there?
Well, we are working through finalizing the promotional offer details. So as of now, we know that we want to help a lot of Microsoft Teams customers not only organize webinars and meetings, but continue that conversation with their attendees to nurture them with relevant journeys and content. So that's why we've announced that we are planning to introduce some kind of a promotional offer, which is time limited. We'll share more eligibility details and more specific details about that offer in the near future. Stay tuned for those promotional offer details. But as of now, I would encourage you to go attend the Ignite sessions where the product demonstrations about how the integration between Teams and marketing can help turn attendees into loyal customers.
Jigisha, I think there's a general kind of question here around timing for GA around a lot of the functionalities. I'm not sure if we've covered that already.
I did, saying that it will be starting in May and slow release throughout the whole April to October. But we'll be able to provide better dates shortly.
Sounds good.
And I see here a question from Pavel. So is the dialer mentioned in the blog post a control in Dynamics 365 that allow users to dial specific customer or pick up the phone, or is it also an automatic dialer that allows automatic plan dialing out to customers and connecting them to appropriate agents? So it's a great question. So the information, the detail about the person that you are calling, the user is calling, and all of the information related to the transcript as well as the notes are available within Dynamics 365. That means that you might want to use let's say even a simple strategy, just like using Power Automate, to just create this kind of automation where you are going to parse, for example, the transcript or the notes, and create some specific actions based on that parsing strategy. So you can definitely come up with a Power Automate configuration to create, for example, the next best action for an agent based on the transcript of that or of that specific call, or based on the detail of the caller or the person who's receiving the call, as well as based on the notes that the seller or the customer service representative is taking within the why he's having the conversation with the customer. And yes, the answer to integrate Dynamics 365 engagement with Microsoft Teams, yes, part of the integration. Well, the vast majority of the settings are in the admin center. Yep.
So 2 questions. One is there's a question around higher education usage for Dynamics 365. I'll post a link here. We actually recently announced some accelerator motions for higher education teams. So it depends on how you want to use it, as if within higher education functionality, or alternatively, how do you use it with students? So I think there's potential 2 here. Is I'll show the accelerator and showcasing how you can actually use Dynamics 365 in a higher education context. The other thing to consider, I think, for students' perspective, you know, with low code, no code becoming more and more prevalent in the industry, you know, I would definitely look at the Power Applications sort of suite of products to say, hey, where do we start building from there to actually get an education, understanding code flow and everything like that. Especially you can see how citizen developers can emerge from this more clearly. So again, we see a lot of usage within higher education standards of, you know, students picking up this low code, no code environments, building really cool and innovative technologies, and then can scale out from there. So I'd say there's potentially 2 avenues you can look at there, but I'll add this link in from the accelerator program for education providers as well for visibility.
And I see a question here. So in the future, Dataverse can be encrypted with a customer key. When will this function be available? I'm not sure I fully understand the question. So right now, all environments of Microsoft Dataverse, they already use SQL Server transparent data encryption to perform real-time encryption of data when written to disk, also known as encryption at rest. And by default, Microsoft manages this database encryption key for your environment, so for organization environment, so they don't have to. But yeah, if you want to provide more details, please let me know.
I had one question that I wanted to address. It says over here, is the dialer mentioned in the blog post a control in D365 that allows users to dial specific customers or pick up a phone, or is it an automatic dialer that allows automatic plan calling out to customers and connecting them to appropriate agents? So the short answer is, I think if you saw in the demo earlier today, you can go into any contact and then you look at your notes, etc., and realize you want to call or email. Right from within that environment, you can click on call and it will do the direct calling for you. Same way, or shoot an email or something of that sort. The other part of it, you know, can it do automatic dialer? I would need to know, Luca, if we set up with Power Apps, do you have any comment? Because I know with with the Power Platform, we could make that automated call, but that's not. I don't know the details on that one. If you
yeah, absolutely. Especially with Power Automate, you can configure and create the automation to exactly to your point to go to a specific agent and perform some specific and provide the agent with the next best action. Yeah, exactly.
But the coolness obviously in this release is you're looking into a contact, you know, it's on your scheduler, it's the next line item, and you're like, okay, I need to call, you know, I need to look at Luca Mucchetti. We haven't responded or connected with him for a while. I look at all the health of the contact, what's going on, and I'm like, I was supposed to be calling them, or, you know, they're not getting the required attention. Right from there, I can click. It starts dialing. If I have conversation intelligence set up, it starts transcripting. It takes my auto notes. It does the action items right from within that. So that is definitely the big wow factor. I think the Power Automate piece has been there. How we schedule, that's a little bit off the. There's a process that can easily be built. Anybody else is able to take a question? I'm also going through more.
Yep, there's one question on when we can have dynamic marketing for GCC. This is something that the team wants to do, but we currently don't have the timeline commitment in the roadmap. But we do have several public sector customers using Dynamics 365 marketing. So stay tuned for more updates on when D365 marketing will be available in GCC.
There are a few questions over here which I don't want to authoritatively respond to, but I can definitely say, is there anything interesting coming for unified collaboration with regards to field service coming down the line this year? The answer to that is yes, absolutely. What you saw in in sales with Dynamics 365 sales and teams, a lot of that is coming into field service as well down this year. So not part of necessarily now, but it is coming down. We can definitely look at the release notes and share the details. So what we're looking for is that we should be able to provide this collaboration and the access from anywhere across all our applications. The release schedule is a little bit staggered, as you may see. It's most available and ready to go with sales, coming down with customer service, field service, in different variations with different nuances. But definitely that's the goal of making sure this collaboration can be done from any workload and seamlessly so that the end customer is treated with that full view. Whether the rep is a seller, it's a marketer, it's a field service person, or customer service.
Yeah, and Jigisha, I think that sort of complements the next question I was going to pick on, which is how do you see Teams Connect and Dynamics 365 integration working together? And I think we showcased some really good, solutions within the session with Takeshi. From a commerce perspective, I can use that as an example. We had task management within commerce, which we had, how does the agents and your frontline workers really engage with you? There was a disconnect really between how frontline workers in retail, for instance, worked with HQ constructs. And so really, if you look at Teams as the hub of collaboration, we can really bring those entities better together. So for task management, for instance, we have, entities within the retail industry that may not live in our point of sale application or our store application as much, and they may work more within M365, and therefore Teams can really be that extension into the stores for them. And then over and above that, we can look at surfacing more and more relevant information within Teams construct itself with mobile devices. So it really opens up the capabilities for us to actually bring relevant information into Teams, so that if you are an agent in selling, you can bring in customer information, you can bring in intelligence with next best action and all these different things within a Teams construct that may have traditionally lived purely within a Dynamics 365 context.
And I know we have less than 3 minutes, but super quickly, there is a question around, is there a Teams integration with Dynamics 365 Customer Insights? Actually, one of the demo that we showed with as part of Takeshi's session was we were showing Sales Accelerator. And as part of that specific view, we were able to show this integration between Dynamics 365 Sales, Customer Insights, and Teams that they all basically they all work together to provide the specific next best action as a result of a parsing and logic applied to a sales call. So I highly recommend to review that specific portion of the demo, because this is precisely what we were showing. Yeah.
And with that, we thank everyone for their time and their questions. Our experts, thank you so much. We do have plenty of opportunities to continue to learn, connect, explore. We also have a follow-up event coming up in April. We encourage you to register for our Business Applications Launch event. The session that we have been referencing will air again later today. It is featured session 181 if you want to look at it in your session scheduler. And it will also be available on demand post-event. So we thank you all and have a wonderful Ignite.